Hey, what is happening, you wonky weedle? Today we are talking about the Miraidon list that I played at the Charlotte Regional Championships. Yes, I played a Pokemon catcher in there. Before we jump into it and I break it all down, I talk about why I played what I played. Gotta let y'all know about this new YouTube channel that myself and Chip Ritchie have started, Uncommon Energy. Now we have the Uncommon Energy podcast, but now we also have a YouTube channel called Uncommon Energy, separate from the podcast channel. Check it out at uncommon_energy over on YouTube. We're coming out with different kinds of Pokemon TCG content over there that's not really in the space right now. It's not new to TCGs. Actually, our first series that we're doing is the Evolution series, very similar to Progression series in stuff like Yu-Gi-Oh! If you're familiar with that. So we're bringing something different to the Pokemon TCG content space. Make sure you go check it out. Subscribe. We're coming out with a lot of cool content over there. Uncommon_energy on YouTube. Go over there, subscribe, you know the drill, and let's go ahead. Let's jump into it. So Miraidon, really cool deck. I thought the meta at Charlotte would be a little bit better for Miraidon than it ended up being. It wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, but I mean, you can't predict it perfectly every time. I had a pretty good track record recently in the last couple tournaments, but you can't get it perfect every single time. I mean, I try, but can't always get there. 2 Miraidon to start off with in the Miraidon deck. You need 2 of these. Prizing one kind of sucks, and you definitely want 2 of them as your main attacker in like Mirror Match and Roaring Moon. It's really, really good as well. You don't always need like a third. Sometimes you do, but we do play a Super Rod, so that can get us our 3rd Miraidon sometimes. So 2 Miraidon needed. I wouldn't play more though. I wouldn't play the 3. A lot of lists have played 3 before. I think I'd always play more Nest Balls before I upped the Miraidon count, or maybe another Battle VIP pass in this build specifically because it is the Peony build, and prizing your 1 in Battle VIP pass can be a little bit annoying. I only do play the 1 in this build, but we'll talk about that in a second. 2 Iron Hands. I think you gotta play 2 Iron Hands. Not playing 2 Iron Hands feels bad to me. I think I would definitely play the 2 Iron Hands. Prizing it really sucks. It is your go-to main attacker to start off with in a lot of matchups. The Charizard matchup sometimes, the Tina matchup, even in Mirror Match, it can be your first attacker as well if they push up a 1 prizer. So yeah, I would never play less than 2 Iron Hands in this deck. I could maybe see an argument for it if the meta shifted enough, but then I would at least include a Heavy Ball as well. But yeah, I don't think until maybe next format, but even then there's so many new tools for Iron Hands I don't even know. But yeah, 2 Iron Hands, play it, really, really good. Do not play 1 Iron Hands. Trolling. Up next, 1 Raikou. Same thing with the Miraidon, went down from 3 Miraidon to 2 Miraidon and 2 Raikou to 1 Raikou. The main reason for this, to be honest, is there's no Lugia anymore. Raikou is a really, really strong, powerful attacker in the Lugia matchup. Lugia is not really a meta deck anymore, so you don't really need 2 Raikous anymore. 1 is still really, really good though. Definitely recommend playing at least 1 Raikou. Still a very powerful attacker in a ton of situations and a very efficient attacker at the 2 energy cost. Also, we still play the 4 Seal Stone, so having something to hold our 4 Seal Stone that can also attack with for turn is really, really good. Only 1 Raichu V, but I do include the Super Rod. I feel like that's the way most people are going, is either 2 Raichu or 1 Raichu in the Super Rod. I definitely really like the 1 Raichu plus Super Rod. You usually only use Raichu like once in a game. Prizing it can suck, to be honest, and also sometimes you have those early hands where you do discard it early on, but their Super Rod can bring it back. Sometimes you have time to find their Super Rod. Sometimes you lose the Raichu and you kind of lose that game because you don't have access to another Raichu. But I definitely value the Super Rod higher than the 2nd Raichu. I don't think I'd ever want to play 2 Raichu and a Super Rod. That feels like a little overkill. So Raichu in here as well. Also, another Pokemon that can hold the 4 Seal Stones. So if you prize your Raikou, but you get access to your 4 Seal Stone, or really need to use your 4 Seal Stone, then you have that in there. You have the Raichu in there to hold the 4 Seal Stone for you. Up next, we got the 1/1 Flaffy line, super powerful. I was actually trying a Peony build before, a while ago now, with no Flaffy in there in the Peony build. I had energy stickers in there, but the Flaffy's just too good. You gotta have the Flaffy. 1/1 Flaffy in here, of course. Not room for the 2/2 in the Peony build, especially because our bench is constantly being taken up by our support Pokemon. I will mention the Zapdos is still in here as well. Good 1 prize attacker, gets to that 230 damage in the Mirror matchup, potentially KO Iron Hands, or more importantly, up against Roaring Moon, being able to do 30 is pretty good. So 1 Zapdos. And then for the support Pokemon, we got the Squawkabilly in here, of course. Can't go wrong with the Squawkabilly. I would definitely even consider including a 2nd Squawkabilly or a Heavy Ball, just so when we prize it, we have more outs to it. You don't ever need more than 1, of course, but having a 2nd one wouldn't hurt. 2 Mew EX. I would never go less than the 2 Mew EX. 2 Mew EX is super important. Mew EX itself is super important. Pricing it with this would be terrible. Definitely need 2 of these things. And then as the game develops, sometimes you end up in a board state where you have room for both Mew EX on the bench. And lastly, I got the Spiritomb in here for the control matchup and the Mew matchup. Specifically the Mew matchup more so than the control matchup. But yeah, Spiritomb in here, great card right now for that for that Mew matchup. And that's it for the Pokemon, but you'll probably notice that there's a really important Pokemon, not important Pokemon, popular Pokemon that's missing. That's a Lumineon. I've never felt that Lumineon was very good in this deck, to be honest, and I think I would even consider including the second Squawk ability before I played Lumineon, because the majority of times I found myself playing Lumineon was games where I prized Squawk ability. So yeah, no Lumineon. This is kind of a last-minute adjustment for me and my group in the deck. We came to the conclusion that Lumineon's not great. It can sometimes be okay to close out games at the end to find like boss's orders. That's about it. I'm not against including Lumineon potentially again, but I would almost maybe consider playing a fourth boss's orders instead. Because instead of getting Lumineon, you can usually just go find the second Mew and just draw up with the second Mew instead of putting Lumineon on your bench, because you don't play it, or it's discarded, or it's gone, and you'll usually get to your end game cards that you need to close out a game. So yeah, not a big fan of Lumineon in the deck. It's pretty mid. You rarely use it, and even when you do use it, putting down the second Mew usually gets you there anyways. So yeah, not a big fan of the Lumineon. Did not end up including it in the deck, and I did not regret it. There was not a single game where I was like, man, I really wish I had the Lumineon here. Never had a single game where I really wish I had Lumineon, or even the situations where like Lumineon would have been okay or would have been good. My bench is usually full, so you don't have bench space for Lumineon anyways. Or you need to put something else on your bench, and you can't afford to put Lumineon on your bench. You have to hope to pull it together from there. For Peony, of course, because this is a Peony build, although I would recommend checking out the top 8 list, or the list that got top 8 of Miraidon. That was doing a 3 Peony, 3 research build. I actually like a lot of the ideas that ended up in that list, to be honest. So I would check that list out as well for sure. If you're looking for a new way to play Miraidon, check out the top 8 list from the Charlotte Regional Championships. 4 Peony, 1 Arven. The card closest to being a Peony, but is not a Peony, is Arven. Definitely really liked having the extra, it's hard to call it draw supporters, the extra supporter in the deck that is not boss, for sure. Definitely found myself running into situations where I had Peony alongside Arven, and being able to use the Arven without fully discarding my hand was really, really nice. Or I would only have Arven, and then Arven being able to go find like a generator plus a 4 seal stone, or even an EXP share was super powerful. Thin out the hand, use Mew after that, and kind of go from there. So effectively a 5th Peony. It's close, it's not quite. I think I would probably play 5 Peony before I played Arven, but I don't think I'd play Pokegear, because the chance that Pokegear actually finds the Peony as the game develops is not super high. So I don't think I would go that far. And then 3 boss's orders in here, of course. So gust effects, you need them, you want to draw into them. They're great. And I wouldn't like want to cut like a boss's orders for Lumineon. Like I said, Lumineon's main purpose is to find boss's orders at the end of the game, but finding those early or mid-game boss's orders are so powerful, and we rarely have bench space for Lumineon on those turns in those situations. So just raw drawing into a boss is just super good. So the 3 boss felt very powerful, drew into it quite a few times naturally throughout games. For the tool cards, EXP shares, plus the 4 Seal Stone. Of course, we're playing 4 Seal Stone. We play V Pokemon. Why would you not? Super powerful. We don't have another V power to potentially utilize anyways. And to be honest, like the saviors of the deck, the saviors of Miraidon, maybe even the EXP shares. These things are a huge deal in a ton of matchups. The Charizard matchup, the Tina matchup, the Mirror match. EXP share is absolutely insane. Bravery Charm stinks. Yeah, Bravery Charm barely fixes any situations for you. You have to get like lucky for Bravery Charm to matter, whereas EXP share pretty much always matters if you can find them and get them into play. So yeah, the EXP shares are insanely powerful in the deck right now. And like I said, I really like the list that got top 8 as well, so I definitely recommend going checking that out from Charlotte Regionals. They actually played 3 EXP share and 2 Town Store. I really liked the Town Store myself and ended up including a copy of it. I only did do the 1 Town Store. I don't know if I like the idea of not playing 2 Beach Court. The amount of times I go Peony for Beach Court plus something else, specifically in the Lost Tina matchup, to be able to bump path, plus be able to pivot my active Pokemon, is really, really high. But the 1 Town Store was very, very powerful. Not only can it find the EXP shares, but it can also find 4 Seal Stone as well. So you could do combos like Peony for the Town Store to be able to bump path, but then also get 4 Seal Stone, but then also get a generator. Yeah, super, super powerful. The Town Store was insanely good. Could definitely theoretically understand the value of a second. And then the Beach Courts, also very, very good as well. We retreat to some of our Pokemon, not all of them, but then bumping the path to the peak while giving us a pivot for the turn was the real power there, to be honest. And there it is, the 1 Pokemon catcher. This was a last-minute inclusion in the deck when we came to the determination that Lumineon sucks. And then we were even talking about the idea of LeBoy's list from Portland Regionals that ran 4 Pokemon catchers. Now, I don't think I'd go that far. I don't think I would include 4 Pokemon catchers, but the amount of outs you have to Pokemon catcher through Peony, through Arven, through just naturally drawing cards, and how impactful it can be to win games, definitely seemed like it was worth the inclusion, and I'm so glad we included. I'm pretty sure Pokemon Catcher is just correct in Peony Miraidon. Actually, in that build of Miraidon that I was talking about earlier that played the energy stickers, I tried it out with Boss's Orders at some point, or not Boss's Orders, with Pokemon Catcher. I included 2 Pokemon Catcher, and it felt insanely good. That kind of led me to my thought process behind trying to include it in the Charlotte build as well, or why I like the idea of it. It's like, well, I had played it before in the past, being able to just Peony for a catcher, really, really good, really powerful option. Yeah, the catcher is insanely sick in here. I'm so glad we included it. I won multiple games with it that I would have just lost if I didn't have it, and there were some other games that I could have won if I had hit heads on it or was able to find it. Or situations developed where it was like, okay, catcher's my only out here, and I didn't get it every time, but I did get it a decent amount. So yeah, the catcher, super sick. I would maybe even go as far as including a second one that was like that was in the top 8 list. Okay, well, one lost vacuum, another way to bump stadiums. A little bit more utility to it. We can use it to remove our opponent's tools. It's a way for us to be able to bump path, but also get a card out of our hand so we can draw more with Mew. Yeah, Lost Vacuum was sick. The utility of it over just like another stadium card is definitely worth keeping around, I think. I already mentioned the Super Rod, but there it is. I would either play the Super Rod or second Raichu, but I think Super Rod is a little bit better. I use triple Iron Hands in multiple matches up against like Gardevoir and stuff like that. Hit a Zoro box deck where I also use triple Iron Hands as well. So the Super Rod just opens up a ton of possibilities, and yeah, definitely big fan of the Super Rod over the second Raichu. Up next are the switch cards. We went with an Escape Rope and 2 Switch just so we can consistently move our Flaffy, but I actually think this was a mistake. I think the correct split on the switch cards should be 1 Switch card, 1 Escape Rope, and 1 Switch. There's still a decent amount of situations that come up where you want that healing of the Switch card despite not including Bravery Charm. So I think the correct split here should be Switch card, Switch, and Escape Rope. That's what I would go with moving forward. Yeah, I would definitely go with that split moving forward. Switch cart, Switch, and Escape Rope. So I would make that adjustment moving forward. But this is what I played at the tournament. Definitely don't regret not including the second Escape Rope. I actually think second Escape Rope, and further confirmed, I guess, from my play at Charlotte, was like, I never wish I had second Escape Rope. Although, if we were to include a 4th Switch card, I would probably include the second Escape Rope. But if we're rocking 3 Switch cards, it should be 2 ways to move basic Pokemon without moving our opponent's active, and 1 Escape Rope. The second Escape Rope would have not been great multiple times. Of course, we got the 4 Electric Generator. Not much to say there. 1 Battle VIP Pass, so you could play the 2. Now, we'll take a look at all the Pokemon Search cards here for a second to kind of talk through it all. You definitely have to play 4 Ultra Ball, thins out your hand to draw more cards with Mew, finds your Flaffy, and then like thins even energy into the discard power for the Flaffy as well. You gotta play the 4 Ultra Ball. And then from there, it's like, okay, you kind of want to play 2 Battle VIP Pass because finding early Pokemon Search is just good, so naturally drawing into it is great. You have Peony, so being able to Peony for Battle VIP Pass is also really, really good, and pricing your Battle VIP Pass when you go to Peony for it, that stinks. That happened a couple times actually to me, but Nest Balls are also really, really good for that late game Pokemon Search under Path to the Peak, or when your Miraidon gets KO'd, or to find your first Mew or second Mew as the game progresses. I definitely don't regret including the double Nest Ball, and I would include that going forward, but I wouldn't hate a second Battle VIP Pass, I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't hate like a 2-2 here. 2 Nest Ball, 2 Battle VIP Pass, but I wouldn't cut a Nest Ball for a Battle VIP Pass, and I definitely wouldn't cut an Ultra Ball for a Battle VIP Pass. So finding the room for that, I don't know where you're gonna find the room for that, to be honest. It probably exists somewhere. I don't know where it is though. And for the energy, we got 15 Lightning Energy and 1 Double Turbo. Definitely really like the Double Turbo. I was a little bit unsure about it, to be honest, but after playing a couple matches where you want to use 2 to 3 Iron Hands in them, the Guardy matchup, Zoro Box matchup, namely the Guardy matchup, to be honest, or even potentially trying to get back-to-back Iron Hands up against like a Lost Zone deck, something like that, whatever. The Double Turbo felt really, really good when we're trying to use 2 or even 3 Iron Hands in a match. So I definitely like that. Also, kind of like a pseudo switch card for our Flaffy. And also when we're trying to attack sometimes with something like a Raikou or a Miraidon, it doesn't hurt to have the Double Turbo. Double Turbo also combos with Mew EX's attack to copy like the Moonlight Shuriken from the Radiant Greninja. I almost pulled that off a couple times, and didn't quite pull it off. I did use Mew to copy the Greninja attack a couple times, but I did not use it with the Double Turbo energy. But the possibility is there. I almost had like a sick play where I went like turn 2 Flaffy to Mew, Double Turbo, boss a Greninja. I was like 1 card off, but I almost got there. That would have been really, really sick. But yeah, the Double Turbo definitely worth including. 15 Lightning Energy felt solid. I wouldn't have hated like a 16th Lightning Energy, to be honest. Just more Lightning Energy never feels bad. The list that actually got top 8 only played 14 Lightning Energy, but they did have a 30 XP share. I could definitely see that being worth it as well. So maybe Lightning Energy does get cut. I don't know. But yeah, this is the list that I played at the Charlotte Regional Championships. Miraidon, Peony Miraidon was not as good of a play as I thought it would be for the meta. The meta that actually ended up showing up to the tournament is not quite what I expected. I thought the meta would have been a little bit better for Peony Miraidon. Charizard was still out there in force. I only played against one Charizard myself, and I did beat it. But yeah, I expected the meta to be a little bit better for Peony Miraidon. But no, even with that said, I think this deck is still really, really powerful in the current meta. Charizard is tough, but besides that, I think you have solid matchups, favorable matchups up against stuff like Lostina, Guard 4, fine against the Mew as long as you include the Spiritomb or the Drapion. Both are solid choices in that matchup. So yeah, still think the deck is really, really solid. Charizard's kind of the one hindrance to the deck, but it's not the only deck in the format, even if it is the most popular deck in the format. So yeah, love the deck. Catcher is sick. Love the catcher. Definitely play the catcher. And I think that's all I got to say about the deck. So I'll catch y'all in the next video. Hope you enjoyed another IRL deck profile. Peace.